It is hot. So, I have the fan on. You're going to have to deal with that, and the lighting is. The sun's going down. It's meh. So, ignore the sound of the little fan. What we're going to do, one, make sure this brush is semi-cleaned off. It has blush all over it. But we'll read some scary stories. While we do this should be fun. This is what the people wanted. I give you what you want. So the first story is called The Yellow Ribbon. And I think I've read this story, not on stream, but I've heard this story. So what we're going to do first, powder the face? No, we'll do that afterwards. We'll do the color correcting. I just gotta find those concealers first. They're under all this. I have green for the redness, yellow to brighten, and highlighter. Might not use the highlighter, but it's okay. So, green first. So, the yellow ribbon is a story about a girl named Jane. So, Jane wore a yellow ribbon every day. She wore it around her neck. So, this yellow ribbon was worn around her neck every day, rain or shine, didn't matter when it was, she wore this yellow ribbon. Whatever she wore had to match that yellow ribbon. Whether it matched or not, she wore the ribbon anyways. And it annoyed her best friend Johnny after a while. So he was her next door neighbor, and he knew Jane since she was 3. When he was young, he had barely noticed the yellow ribbon, but now that they were in high school, it bothered him. So he goes up to her and asks her why she has the yellow ribbon around her neck. And he'd ask every day, but she wouldn't tell him. Still, in spite of his aggression, Johnny thought it was that she was cute. So he asked her to the soda shop for an ice cream sundae. And then he asked her to watch him play in the football game. And then he started seeing her home. And come in the spring, he asked her to the dance. Jane always said yes when he asked her out, and she always wore a yellow dress to match the yellow ribbon around her neck. It finally occurred to Johnny that he and Jane were going steady, and he didn't know why she wore the yellow ribbon around her neck. So he asked her about it yet again, and yet again, she didn't tell him anything. Maybe one day I'll tell you about it, she said. Someday. That answer annoyed Johnny. So I lost my spot. But he shrugged it off because Jane was so cute and funny to be with. Well, time passed, and it was a habit of doing, and one day Johnny proposed, and Jane accepted. They planned a big wedding. Jane hinted that she might tell him about the ribbon on their wedding night. However, with the preparations and his beautiful bride and the lovely reception, Johnny never got around to asking Jane about it. And when he did remember, she got a bit teary-eyed and said, "We're so happy to hear. What difference does it make?" And Johnny decided she was right. So he gave up asking for a little bit. Johnny and Jane raised a family of 4, with the usual ups and downs, laughing, tears. With their golden anniversary rolling around, Johnny asked once again about the yellow ribbon around her neck. It was the first time he had brought it up since the week after their wedding. When their children asked him about it, he'd always hush them, and somehow none of the kids dared to ask their mother. So Jane gave Johnny a sad look and said, "Johnny, you've waited long enough. You can wait a while longer." So he agrees, and it's not too long until Jane's on her deathbed, and he asks her yet again. And she shook her head a little bit in persistence, yeah. And then said with a sad smile, "Okay, go ahead and untie it." With shaking hands, he fumbled for the knot and untied the yellow ribbon around his wife's neck. And Jane's head fell off. Yeah. So apparently that's what's keeping her face together. Keeping her head on, I should say. Um, yeah. Let's go to the next one. Let's go to the next story. Um, Alright, this one's called the love test. I don't know how this one's gonna be scary. Let's find out. Oh, this one's also sound scary for kids. Let's do it. Alright. So this is a creepy story about a beautiful young girl who proves that proves to be a proves to be very frightening for young men who want to date her. It's based on an old Japanese folklore recorded by, I can't even pronounce the name, of Ghosts and Goblins, so I take it that's the book, section 6. So, years ago in Japan, there was a young girl who lived with her parents in a remote village. She was very attractive with long black hair and pale skin and stunning oval eyes. Young men in Young Japanese men would come from miles to ask her on a date. As word, as word of her good looks spread around the area, more and more boys would turn up and professing their love and and being allowed, begging to be allowed to date her or take her out on an evening. However, the problem was that none of the men would last more than one date with her because the night was over. Before the night was over, they always seemed to run away, screaming in terror. None of them would ever talk about what happened, and they all refused to meet her again. So, before long, the young men stopped coming to visit, and her parents began to despair that their daughter would never find a husband. Rumors began to spread around the village. People said that there must be something wrong with the beautiful girl. Some people wondered if she had a horrible personality. Others were of the opinion that she had some kind of hideous deformity that was causing the boys to run away. One that makes you a jerk. Just because someone. No, it doesn't matter. It's a story. Her parents were mystified. They couldn't understand why so many men were terrified of their daughter. She was always so sweet, gentle, happy, even tempered. She studied hard in the evenings and never complained when her mother asked her to do chores around the house. One day her father was out in the garden mowing the lawn, and a young man came walking up to her. "What do you want?" the old man asked. "I'd like to date your daughter." The father was delighted. "Come right in," he said, and he happily introduced the young man to his beautiful daughter. The girl seemed very shy and never looked directly at the young man. The girl seemed very shy and never looked at the young man. She spoke softly, and her voice barely above a whisper. Whenever he spoke to her, she'd blush bright red. I couldn't see the rest of the sentence. Despite this, the young man seemed very taken by her beauty and asked her on a date. She accepted and accompanied him to the door. When he was leaving, "Not now," she whispered. "Come back at midnight and be careful not to knock too loud or you'll wake my parents." The young man was surprised, but he came back that night, tapped softly on the bedroom window. Suddenly, the door opened and the girl cried out, "Before I go out with you, you have to promise something." The boy nodded. "Yes. I want you to take a love test. If you really love me, you will pass the test. Promise me that if you fail the test, you will never tell another soul about what happened tonight." That seems very weird. Um, The young man couldn't imagine what the I can't see. And the moon was hidden behind a layer of clouds. In Japan, they say it is on types of on those type of nights that ghosts wander the earth. The two young people could hear the ominous sound of the dogs howling in the distance. They slipped quietly through the deserted village streets until they came to the woods. The girl hurried down into the dark, overgrown path, and the young man had to run to keep up with her. The path was bordered by enormous trees that loomed over them like huge monsters. Eventually, they reached an old cemetery. The moon emerged from behind the clouds, casting a pale light, and the young man could see old gravestones covered with moss and creeping vines. The girl's nightdress was billowing in the breeze. She was standing at the edge of the grave and looked quite fresh. Of the grave that looked quite fresh. The young man watched as she picked up a rusty spade and began to dig, flinging clumps of dirt everywhere. Then she dropped to her knees and swept aside the dirt with her hands that covered a coffin. So you have to imagine her surprise when she lifts the coffin and opened the white shroud, I can't pronounce the word, and tore an arm off her corpse inside. She clamped it between her teeth and took a big bite, and she chewed it loudly while staring at him. This is the love test. If you love me, you will do what I do. You eat what I eat. Ew. She's a cannibal. With that, she ripped off the other arm off the corpse and tossed it to the young man. He didn't hesitate for a moment. He picked up the arm and took a bite. Oh, he was now even more surprised. He never thought human flesh could be so good. Ew. Disgusting. They are cannibals. He realized he wasn't eating a dead body at all. It was just a prank. He was a candy corpse made of sugar and rice flour. Thank God. The beautiful girl burst out laughing. You know, of all the boys who come to take me on a date, you're the only one who didn't run away. I want to marry a person who is as brave and that proves this is proof that you're the one. Now I can fall in love with you. The young man didn't crack a smile. He stood there in the darkness by the edge of the grave, staring at her, with eyes filled with rage. Only candy? I thought you were just like me. Oh, God. With that, he grabbed the shovel and started digging another grave. When he unearthed the coffin, he broke it open and began devouring the dead body. This time it was the girl who ran away screaming. I'd run away too. He's a cannibal. Oh my gosh. Great. I love a story with cannibals in it. I need this. Let's look for the next story. Story! Oh my gosh. Story! I don't like that one. Beatrice. I think we've read that one. Let's look at creepy stories. I don't know if we've read them all. We might have. The Abandoned Well. Delete the Photos. Let's read that one. I don't think I've read that one yet. What's the matter? What's the matter? You fell down? What'd you do? You want a hug? Come here. You bumped your head. Oh, are you okay? You can sit there. I'll move my makeup. I'm gonna do some blush. So this one's called Delete the Photos. Honey. Can I see? Can I blend this? Thank you. There were 4 teenage girls who lived in Malaysia. And their names were Ying, Spicy, Nana, and Sis. I can't open it. See? It doesn't. It does. Oh, it does open. It has shiny gems in it.
Yeah, shiny.
You want to play with the shinies?
Yeah.
Here. Shiny gems. I'm gonna blend with this. Nope. I'm going back to Beauty Blender. The girls have been best friends for years. Ever since they started school together, they shared an interest in ghost stories and horror movies. The girls had heard an urban legend about their school. According to the story, a girl went missing one day in their school's bathrooms. It had been locked up ever since. The girls decided to break into the bathroom, and when no one was looking, and take a look around. I wonder what we'll find, said Spicy. It's a weird name for a child. Maybe we'll find the girl's corpse. That is disgusting. No, you move your arm. You move everything over. I need this for bronzer.
Mine.
Fine, use the beauty blender. That evening, when class had finished, the girls gathered outside the bathroom. And the hallways were deserted, and all the other students had gone home. Sis had used a hairpin to pick the lock, and the door swung open. The bathroom looked clean, but it was empty. And when they checked out, please don't do that. Checked out one of the stalls, they found a camera lying on the floor. The strange thing about it was it still had full battery. Sis picked it up and started flicking through the pictures but there was no one in the photos. There was an empty stall, shots in part of the bathroom. It looked like someone had been snapping photos in the dark. I wonder what they were up to. Oh my gosh, I think I know. I think they were trying to capture a ghost. You're supposed to go into the dark and snap pictures. If it's haunted, a ghost will appear in the pictures. Ying was a little freaked out by this, but she wanted to leave. Let's take a selfie before we go. Ying and Spicy and Nana took a pose together while Sis snapped the picture. Then they left, switched off the lights, and closed the door behind them. And Sis, on her way home, her phone started ringing. I need this. When she answered, she heard a raspy voice on the other end. Delete, it said. Delete. Then the call suddenly ended. Sis wasn't quite sure what to make of this. She assumed it was just, okay, that's enough. It was just someone who got the wrong number. When she got home, she plugged in the camera into her laptop and started looking through the pictures again. When she came up to the photo she had taken of the 3 girls, she noticed something odd. Nana looked strange. She decided to give her a call, but Nana didn't pick up her phone. A few minutes later, she looked at the picture again. There was something wrong. Nana had completely disappeared from the photo. Sis was a little frightened, and she wondered if... No. You need to stop.
It's mine.
Yeah, but you need to stop.
Sorry.
When she looked closer, she noticed that Spicy's hair looked much longer, as if she was wearing a wig. Sis was worried, so she decided to give Spicy a call. Hey, she said, what's up? Hey, there's something weird happening. Remember when we took that photo in the bathroom? It's not an egg.
What?
It's a blender.
I
Nana was in the photo, wasn't she? Yeah. Well, she's not in the photo now. Well, what do you mean? It's just you and Ying in the photo now. And your hair looks very long. No.
Sorry.
You're going to have to leave if you can't stop. No. You can't have the makeup. No. No. You want the juice? Juice. Yeah. All of a sudden, the call cut out. Sis tried to call back, but Spicy didn't answer her phone. When she looked at the photo again, she got frightened. She almost jumped out of her skin. Spicy had disappeared from this photo. Now it was only Ying, and someone was standing behind her in the bathroom. Worst of all, there was someone standing behind her. It looked like a woman with long, dark hair and pale white skin. Just then, no! Do not dump that. Just then, her phone started ringing. She answered it, and she heard a familiar voice on the end. It was muffled, but it was the sound of Ying. Delete the photo. Ying, what's wrong? Delete the photo, she said it repeatedly. Ying, where are you? Answer me. Suddenly, the call cut off. She heard someone knocking on the door of her apartment. A chill ran down her spine. The knocking got louder. Who is it? She called. There was no answer. Cautiously, Sis made her way to the hallway. The knocking grew louder and louder. Sis looked at the front door and put her eye up to the peephole. She was horrified to see another eye looking back. She let out a scream and went out into her bedroom, grabbing the camera and quickly deleting all the photos on it. All of a sudden, the knocking stopped and there was an eerie silence. She was so frightened she started to cry. She just sat on her bed, holding herself and rocking back and forth. And then, with trembling hands, she picked up the camera and pointed it to herself and took a selfie. That's stupid. The next morning, her classmate came home. She was nowhere to be seen. All girls were reported missing, and the police searched high and low and found no trace of them. You know, they were told to delete the photos. Alright, we're gonna fix this up a little because it's a little harsh on the top part. What are you doing? Do not do that.
I do breathe. Ah! Change.
We're gonna put pink blush. No screaming or you leave.
I'm sorry. I did. No. I did.
Mip.
I do walk.
Alright,
I do walk.
then go up there.
Hey, I do down here.
Whoa.
Groucho Marx in here.
Yeah, she is, and she's trying to dump that everywhere.
7.
I was reading the scary stories.
Upside down. Upside down.
Alright, let's find another one. Door! Thank you. Like this. Let's put on some highlighter. I can find it. Hello? Oh, hello. I'm gonna apply some lipstick and then we're gonna call it good. This one's called Hit Snooze. Let's do it. It's the only thing left. I can see my sisters being crazies. Let's do this. This one smells like chocolate. Oh, yeah, we need to apply mascara. Alright. Let's largen. You can't see anything I'm talking about. I just like wearing mascara. I think mascara is fun to wear. You can never get a satisfying face look when you're doing mascara. Always looks weird. this is the look. But I will see you guys in a little bit when I do the next stream. Yeah, it's gonna be a lot of streams today, like 3.